All right, we're recording now. And yeah, we've had some things happening in the world in several different places that have created some needs uh, for creativity and some flexibility in what we're doing. And so we wanted to jump on here and provide you guys with some resources and some recommendations that can help you as you're planning your trip. We're going to be specifically talking about some of the things that are happening in the Middle East and Latin America, but there may be some other things that we share that can help you in your preparation for wherever you're going. We'll also be talking about some changes to the short-term team registration process with AGWM and a few other things at the end of this call that will be relevant for all of you as well. And so, all right, so let me introduce our two guests. Our first guest that I want to introduce to you is Ed Nye, and in no relation to Bill Nye, but he is Ed Nye, the security guy for AGWM. He's a good friend, was a long-term worker in the Silk Road area, and we love him and Kim. And then we also have Tanya James on this call. She's a very experienced travel agent that's helped a lot of our teams, and she's a former Chi Alphan and works really well to serve us, and she's going to provide some expertise for us also. So Ed, Ed is jumping on his lunch break. He's serving as a consultant for another organization right now, providing them some security wisdom, and he's jumping on his off of his lunch break to be with us. So we're going to start with him, and I've got a few questions for him, and then we can ask him some questions, and then we're going to go let him eat his salad or uh, his his salad or his sandwich or whatever he's got. So Ed, thanks for being here with us, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. And you stole my thunder. I mean, Ed and I, the security guy, that's my tagline.
Yeah,
Um,
you need an
but
intro. You need an
I
intro,
do
man.
actually I have a podcast, and
Okay.
it's called Security Briefs with Ed and I. And the intro is an Ed Nye, the security guy, kind of like a Bill Nye. And Bill Nye, I actually am related to Bill Nye.
Are you
He,
really? Okay.
yeah, he's my uncle.
No way. The
Yeah.
Bill Nye?
No, no, not the Bill Nye,
Okay.
but Bill
A Bill
Nye,
Nye.
Bill Nye's my uncle. Yeah. Um,
So, so Ed, why don't you tell us a little bit about your role and the department that you serve and lead, and how it's important to us in our partnership with AGWM and the resources you guys bring to the table, and then I will go into some questions that I have for you as well.
yeah. So I'm we'll call it the director of the Global Security Office. And I'm getting an echo. I'm going to step out into the hallway here because it's a bit of an echo. Um, so I'm the director of global security for AGWM. And basically what that means is that we help our missionaries primarily to function even in high risk areas. And a part of that too is a lot of it is training, and then we also do if there is a crisis situation, we do crisis response. We have a crisis management team, and we walk with the missionary, and not just the missionary, but here on this call, our short-term teams, like if they're in a situation, there is a crisis management team that is trained and ready to respond and ready to go to a given crisis. And part of what you'll be seeing me actually prior to some of your trips. And those who are going on your trips will see me because we have just rolled out a new online security training specific to AGWM, and it was done by I created the curriculum and the training, and it's much better than the stuff that you probably most of you have gone through before. Um, and it's specific to our context. And then I also created an associated training for your team, the people, the hosts rather, on the field that are hosting your team. So your team will take the people that you're sending will take the training, but then also the hosts that are receiving you will have a training that says, hey, this is the training they got and this is what they're expecting from you. So make sure to provide it. So we have it on both ends. We have the security training on both ends of the spectrum.
Great.
So yeah, and as you can imagine, I'm fairly busy at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things you guys in your department, you guys have access to resources, organizations, and things that can provide you with um, information, updates, and awareness of things that are happening in the world that maybe aren't on the media or in other,
Right.
this that's helpful for um, assessing situations and such.
Yeah, we gather intelligence and we have partners that provide intelligence for us, and none of them are three-letter agencies. They're all it's all open source stuff. But we do have we do have access to intelligence as well as real-time incidents that are occurring, and so we share that with the various fields on a daily basis.
Yeah, great. Well, Ed, as we're looking at what's currently going on in the Middle East, and we have some teams that are intending to travel to that part of the world or through that part of the world to get to other destinations. Um, Turkish Airlines seems to be one of the top alternatives to Qatar Airways and Emirates for many of our teams. Can you just give your opinion currently regarding flying through Istanbul, Turkish Airlines, and what we're aware of in terms of Istanbul, because it is somewhat proximate to the conflict, but not, and some parents and people are concerned about the safety of that option. If you could just speak to that briefly, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, if you had flights through Dubai or Qatar or some of these other Arab countries, that you need to rethink that, because it's they're not going to fly. You're not going to be able to pass through uh, in the foreseeable future. Turkish Airlines is a different thing. Why? Because Turkey is a member of NATO. And NATO has an agreement that if there's an attack on a NATO country, you've attacked all the NATO countries. And so right now, the U.S. is in it with Israel. But if Iran attacked, or even an agent of the Iranian regime attacks Turkey, then you're talking about activating the NATO agreement. Now, that's for a major attack. There was an attack on a UK base in Cyprus not long ago. Nothing happened, and they just chose to ignore that. But in general, if you do attack one member of NATO, you attack all. And Iran doesn't want to poke the eye of Turkey. They share a border. They have a strong army and a strong uh, defense. So they're well equipped. So I would say it's as whenever you travel, you assume a level of risk. So there's no place that's 100% safe. But Istanbul I would have no problem flying through Istanbul on my way to somewhere else.
So a number of our teams are looking to go to some Silk Road locations, um, maybe some Asia locations that would necessitate flying through that part of the world. Are there any other routes or options you're aware of? You were the area director for that part of the world for many years. Any thoughts or ideas to toss out for them?
I mean, the go-to is obviously Turkish, but there's plenty of other European airlines that have our partnership agreements with the U.S., like Lufthansa and others that do fly into Central Asia. Really depends on the capital and where their alliances are.
Okay.
I've been told, though I haven't flown them, I've been told that as long as you're flying internationally, Aeroflot is not a bad choice. Um, but if you're flying regionally in the country of Russia, I'd say it's pretty dangerous because they don't have the same safety measures. But I've been told that internationally, generally, Aeroflot is an option. I would prefer to stick to the European and American carriers, and of which Turkish is one. So
Okay, great. So another kind of hot spot in the world today is Latin America, Mexico, because of some of the cartel activity and things. And so, what are your thoughts for evaluating the situations down there? For example, just a couple days ago, there was some military activity in Ecuador, um,
Mhm.
and so I think, yeah, we'd just love to hear from you and your assessment of those things, and maybe hearing from you could help us with having conversations with concerned friends and family for teams going to those parts of the world. And yeah, just any wisdom for us in discerning those locations.
Yeah, I almost never would recommend doing a mission trip to Mexico. I think it's just generally a bad idea,
Hmm.
except for the Yucatan Peninsula. Um, you have the potential in almost every other location in Mexico. Cartels are a fact of life there. So if you're willing to assume a level of risk, you need to prepare for it. If you're prepared and you go in, and that's one thing. But Mexico is one of those you don't really think about it because it's just south of the border. But Mexico is one of those places where you've got a simmering, you've got an alternate power to the federal government there, which is the cartels, and they are very powerful. And so, at a moment's notice, you saw what can happen in some places that we thought were very safe. I didn't, but generally they were thought of as very safe. So I would rethink Mexico if I were you, or at least if you're going into Mexico, I would take some really serious precautions and make sure you have plans in place for contingencies that might happen to you there or to your team there. It's the same throughout Latin America. The biggest issue overall, Latin American and the Caribbean, is going to be crime. But there's also you have to understand that it's a different thing. If we flew in on a missions trip to Nicaragua 10 years ago, and you flew in on a missions trip to Nicaragua today, it's a different country, and the government has a different attitude towards America. So you just really need to be aware. Do you in the security training, which is free to take, anyone can take it, and if you want to go through it, you can. But we talk about doing the research, connecting with your missionary hosts. They're going to be the ones who help you because they're going to want you to do your ministry, to be safe. They're going to be your guides. They're going to be your ambassadors. They're the ones who have the local knowledge, and we provide them with intelligence and things. But then they're going to contextualize it for where they are. So just because Colombia has FARC elements in parts of it, it doesn't mean that all of Colombia is dangerous to go to. So does that help? You really just need, no matter where you go in the world, you really do need to do your research.
Great, great. That's helpful. Um, so some of our teams are traveling to level 4 countries,
Mhm.
State Department level 4, specifically parts of Europe, a part of Europe. Um, so what's AGW's policy regarding this? Does it impact our insurance? Do we need to upgrade? What are your thoughts? I mean, our hosts that are in those places um, are are prepared and have been hosting some teams this uh, past year or so. And anyway, just would love to get your thoughts there.
It really, you wouldn't have to upgrade your insurance. The insurance is the same no matter what, and it's very good insurance, and it's very inexpensive. And it includes emergency evacuation and things like that, including medical evacuation. So as far as the insurance is concerned, that's not an issue. As far as like going and everything, I would just say as long as you and the host have done your due diligence, as long as you have uh, uh, um, uh, plans in place. I step in if I'm asked for like specifics, like to help. But if they're used to hosting people and they already have protocols in place, then they don't necessarily need my advice on it. So yeah, I don't know. I can't speak to it specifically, but I would say make sure that there actually is a plan in place. Make sure there are security protocols. Make sure you do the training that you're going to do, and make sure that you listen to your missionary host.
Yeah, and I would say working with your host to be selective in the team members that you choose to go into some of those places and things would be really
Yeah.
important. Um, and so uh, so that's great. Are there any other places in the world that you're aware of we need to be maybe additionally prepared for? Um, or is there any wisdom or guidance you have in terms like even in the future? I mean, we never know what's going to happen in some places, but I guess what I'm thinking about is, uh, do we need to do homework or consider, is there an upcoming election in that place where we're at, or
Right.
situations that we might need to consider in evaluating places where we're taking teams?
You definitely want to do your research. And here's the thing. A lot of times, most people I talk to, missionaries, pastors in churches, just normal people, we're still functioning in a mindset of 5, 10 years ago. And the world has changed and is continuing to change. It's not the same. It's not the same world. And the attitudes towards Americans, the attitudes towards Christians, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what kind of visa you need. All of these things are in a state of flux, and actually in many places have changed. But we still go into a place thinking about it the way we thought about it 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago, and it's not wisdom to do that. So you need to just do your basic research. Go to the State Department website, talk to your missionary host, do a little bit of research. And if there's questions that come up, you can ask the host. You can say, "Hey, what about this? I read that there's, read that there's an election coming up, and in the past there's been, civil unrest following elections. What do you think about that?" And they'll tell you. They'll because they live there and they're surrounded by it too. So don't say, "Well, we've sent people there for 5 years, 10 years, and nothing bad has happened." Is it the same environment that it was? We just dealt with, they were not sent through AGWM, but there was a school that sent interns into a country in the Middle East, and we weren't even aware that they were there. But it was an Assemblies of God affiliated group. And they said, "Well, we've been sending people there for 10 years." So we had to really help them to evacuate because they had no plans in place. They didn't realize that they were functioning in a different environment. They failed to take into account that, the tensions with Iran and what that meant for the intern programs. So I think that's the biggest thing, is don't go in thinking that things are always the way that they used to be, because they're not in most places in the world. We are in a new paradigm.
Right. Yeah, that's great. That's great. All right, let's pause here for a moment and we'll take any questions for Ed. There's a few questions in the chat that aren't necessarily for Ed, and we'll get to later. But does anyone have a question they'd like to ask Ed before he takes off to get his soup and sandwich?
Yes, I have a question. So thanks, Ed. I am wondering where we can find the most updated security training, and then also you mentioned like intelligence updates that are like compiled.
Yeah, so the security training is rolled out. Mobilization Department of AGWM, it will send you a link. Right now, we're just doing it on YouTube because we wanted to get it out there as soon as possible. So there may be, I don't know, I'm not part of mobilization. I created the training, but I'm not implementing it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second, Ed. We're prepared to
Okay.
share that. Yeah, we just got information on that yesterday, and so we'll tell you about the security training in a minute, Julia.
Okay. But so that's it. And as far as intelligence, there's some I would say the CIA fact book is a great place to go, but they just shut that down. So that's no longer an option. But the State Department is good, and your best resource is going to be the missionary host. But if you do any, if you just do any search engine, any AI search, but you just need to make sure to if you do AI, and even if you do regular search, make sure that you check the sources, that you follow those sources, that they're from Reuters, or they're from Associated Press, or they're from The Economist, or something like that. You don't want to, you don't want to get your information from falsely generated AI news stories, which are prevalent. So.
Yeah, and your host on the ground is a really important asset to you, and so that would be a key place as well.
I say also the UK and Canada foreign ministries, they have some really good stuff on their websites too.
Got a question.
Yep.
What's the, you talked about having a plan. What's the bare minimum plan that we should have?
It's all going to be in your security training. You'll see it. There's going to be communications plan. Most of it is just pay attention and have a backup communications plan, and then have a backup plan for, like, if something happens, where do we meet up? So a lot of it is just communication and paying attention. If you do those two things, and you're not just, you're actively engaged in the environment that surrounds you, then that will prevent probably 80% of things that could go wrong. But you'll see that in the training.
Yeah, and the security training is great that will provide those things. And I'm just started the new AGWM training, and I'm really looking forward to it. The other training was helpful as well. And so Michael put 2 links in the chat. Those are old links, and so we'll share with you the new links for the new training that we have. So, all right, any other questions?
Yeah, is it pretty safe to say that the Arab Gulf is off limits as far as traveling and trips go?
It's safe to say that, yes, because you couldn't even get there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what about for May teams, Ed? What's your recommendation there for summer teams?
There's no way to know.
Yeah.
No way. There's just no way to predict what's going to happen.
Right.
I would plan on alternatives. I have no idea.
Sure.
Anyone who says they know,
yeah,
is not being honest with themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
It might be completely safe. It might be safer later than it is now, but we can't tell. Who would have known 4 years later, Ukraine and Russia would still be dragging on? Nobody predicted that.
Yeah. And if any of you guys are going to that part of the world, or have made some plans to go to that part of the world, I'm glad to talk with you about some alternatives or ways to think through discerning what to do next. I've had some conversations with area directors from that part of the world, and we can share that. We can share that with you and help you navigate some options. So.
Can I just say one thing? I talked earlier about Mexico, and I didn't mean to pick on Mexico. If you've got a trip planned to Mexico and you've got a plan in place, that's fine. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of mission trips. They say it's Mexico, it's across the border, it's easy to get to, and they don't really give it much thought. If you don't give it thought, then you're making a big mistake.
Right.
That's really what I was saying.
Great. Well, thanks for being with us, Ed. We really appreciate it. Ed is a gift to Chi Alpha. When you guys call and ask me questions I can't answer, I got Ed on speed dial. He's always quick to answer, and we love you guys and appreciate you, Ed. Say hello to Kim for us.
I will, and thanks so much for inviting me on the call. We're praying for you guys, and as we move forward, as AGWM moves forward with global access and engaging with the unengaged peoples of the world, you guys are a big part of that. So thanks for your commitment to Christ, both in the States and around the world.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, take care.
All right. So just a couple of questions that have came up while Ed was talking about in regards to security training. If you're already in process with team registration with AGWM, just keep going through the current process that they have and the training links that they've sent you. But there's a new process that's beginning today and new training that begins today that we're going to be rolling out here for you shortly. So Michael, you put in there, you've already completed the level 4 training under the old pathway. That's great. You won't have to do the new training. This is just for teams that haven't registered up until now. And so, yeah, the unfortunate thing is any of you that took the training under the old system, Michael, you guys are included in this. That training had a cost to it. The new AGWM training is free, which is a really great blessing. And it's more relevant, I think, to our teams. And so, but if you've already started the process, if they've already got you in that system and I've already paid for it, you've got to continue on through that. Like I said, they just unrolled this new pathway and new security training yesterday, and we'll be unrolling that out to you guys in what those steps are. And there's some other things, just an aside, there's some other factors of our trip processing that are going to change as we become an affiliated ministry April 1st. There's some policies that will help us and make the ability to get reimbursed smoother and the ability to have travel approval and those things easier as well. So just stay tuned. We'll get that information to you. So Amanda, your question, you can contact your short-term team specialist and find out that I think you've already paid through Fort Sherman. So I'm not sure what they would do. I would talk to your AGWM short-term team specialist. So, all right, let's transition now to Tanya. Tanya James, she's coming to us from the great state of Texas, and she has been a longtime friend of mine, has helped me with a lot of travel. She's a great blessing, a wealth of knowledge, and she loves Chi Alpha and she loves helping teams. She's currently helping a number of our teams navigate. Some have gotten stuck because of flight cancellations in Qatar and the Emirates, and she's helping bring them home and reroute them. And so she's here with us today. So Tanya, I'm just going to let you take it away and just share some of your thoughts and recommendations for us to consider as we're preparing to fly. Some of you might have already bought your tickets. Some of you have not yet bought your tickets, and we're hoping to have some information that's relevant for you regardless of where you're at in that process. So Tanya, thanks for being here, and I'll let you take it away.
Hi, so honored to be here. I'm excited to be able to be helping a number of Chi Alphas and stuff. Do love y'all, have been Chi Alpha since dinosaurs roamed the earth, and I had to fight them just to be able to go to small groups some nights. It was what it was. You do what you need to do. But Brian and I have been talking. There's some recommendations that we have that I'm going to present. And the first one is obviously please use a travel agent. And the reason why, there's so many reasons why you would use a travel agent. Most people want to use one to save money. That's a valid reason. Sometimes on airline flights, it's not usually about saving money. I will just charge you what the airline would charge you anyway. Sometimes I find a better flight that saves money, but it's about finding the flights that are good flights. And even during calm things, we would know some of the countries to not fly through. But the main reason, and what I've always said where I think I earn my service fee, is if you're out of the country and things go sideways, then you have 24/7 support. So whether you choose to use me or you already have one that you trust, or you're vetting some, I would recommend that you ask them questions like, I'm so sorry, if you're in a different country and things are going sideways, how do you get help? Who do you call? Do they help you? Or what's going on? So all of my clients, about 2 weeks before they leave, they get a final itinerary with all the stuff, and as final as it can be 2 weeks out. And then they get my cell phone number, and I'm also on WhatsApp and Signal and FaceTime. And I'm not on Facebook much, but I have Facebook Messenger. Any of those, you can call me 24/7. And I will help. And in fact, I want you to call. I want you to do that. And so any good travel agent would have either themselves or have a contingency for you to call someone, right? I wouldn't go with, well, just talk to the airline, if you're in the airport. And to be fair, when you're in the airport, there's not much I can do, except I can be there to support you. I can give you information. I can give you options to give the agents whenever you're there, waiting in line to talk to them, to be rerouted. I can give you, hey, I see these flights are available. Anyway, Brittany, the price breakdown is going to be different for different travel agencies. What I do is I give a Chi Alpha break. So it's $30 per person for the first booking number. I don't know if that makes sense. So if you're just like round trip, and we'll pick on Mexico because Ed did. If you're just going to Mexico City, it's a round trip flight, no big deal, easy peasy, then, $30 per person. But, we have Chi Alphas who go to, like I have one supposedly going to Dubai in May. And we'll see. Hopefully they do. And then while they're there, they're then going to go to Kathmandu and come back. So for those, I have the policy that's $30 per booking number per person, but I usually in practice do $30 for the first one and $15 for additional booking numbers per person. I don't know if that makes sense. If you can't afford that, talk to me, right? I would rather you use a travel agent than not.
And let me just mention this real quick, Tanya. One of the questions was, as a size of a team, does it make sense? I use Tanya for myself as a team of one, and I was just recently on a trip where I wasn't able to use Tanya. I had to use another travel agency. What I found out with that travel agency, I was able to call for help because I got into a pretty big jam. I was able to call for help, but every time I called back for help, I got a different agent who didn't know my story, and I had to rehash the whole thing. Anyway, having someone, whether it's Tanya or another agent, I would recommend try to get an agent that's going to provide you with good emergency service, and hopefully that person will be consistent with you throughout your travel. But that's one thing I found just recently was they provided 24/7 emergency service, but every person I talked to, and I had to call back 3 times, so I had to talk to 3 different people, and I was on a time crunch for getting it resolved before I was going to miss my plane. So that's one reason to have a travel agent that sticks with you during the flight. So sorry, Tanya.
No, that's okay. Yeah, my favorite was when they told you to go talk sternly to the ticketing agent.
Yeah.
Jeez, have knowledge of how things work helps. And sometimes we develop that through the years. I've definitely learned a few things. I learn a few things all the time. So small or large, one person, 50 people, use a travel agent. We're here for you. Oh, good question. Let me type in my stuff. And if you're already booked things for this year and you're like, I wonder if I could use Tanya for next year, let's chat at CMC because guess what? I'm going to be there. Yay. All right. So travel insurance. I know nobody wants it. It's another expense. You already have so many expenses. Obviously, I'm always going to recommend travel insurance. Always, 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 wherever you go. And a lot of the reason is just these tickets are expensive now. And if things happen and you can't go, then the airlines don't give back your money. So unless you buy refundable tickets, which by the way are usually more expensive than buying insurance. So there are some things to consider. The cost of the insurance. Now I do offer 3 different levels, and should I go into them right now, or do y'all want to contact me later for them, or what do you think?
You can just go over like maybe the difference in what they cover. Maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
So we have the basic, which is what I usually say if you're just flying in the US, like staying domestic. It doesn't have any, and I know that y'all get medical insurance through AGWM. I don't know what they cover. I don't follow it. Things change all the time. So I just follow what mine covers. Basic doesn't cover medical at all, but it does cover cancellations for covered reasons. There are over 20 of them. And it can be like your home is no longer livable and all kinds of things. Not just that you're sick and can't go. So it covers that so you can get money back. And it also covers if you're there and you get sick, it doesn't cover medical. But what if you get sick and you can't come home right away? Then it helps cover getting you back home. Basic insurance. The next level, this one isn't bought as much, but it's called Journey, and well, by Chi Alphas, and it is a I'm so sorry, my brain just likes to skip out on me. It's in between the two. It has the same cancellation policy as basic, but it also gives medical with pre-existing conditions. So if you have somebody that has asthma or diabetes or something, and again, I don't know what AGWM doesn't covers and doesn't, but I know what mine does. So pre-existing conditions, the pre-existing conditions, we have some contingents about when we purchase that in order for it to kick in. But both of these policies can be bought up to a couple of days before your trip. Classic with cancel anytime is the most expensive. It's usually about twice what basic is. So basic and they can vastly range based on age and how long you're going and everything. But basic usually for our week-long trips, week to 2 long trips is about $50 to $75 a person. And classic is usually about $100 to $150 per person. It covers everything that Journey covers, and it adds on cancel for any reason. There is a 10-day policy window from the time you purchase it from the time you purchase your tickets, or a couple of other things that could be booked or whatever that could trigger it. But we have a 10-day window and to purchase it, and you can cancel for any reason. The covered reasons will still pay it out 100%. Same covered reasons as the others. The non-covered reasons, such as I changed my mind, I don't want to go, are covered at 80%. Acts of war, you lost your passport, those things are not covered reasons. So I changed my mind is an 80% covered reason. I just don't want to go anymore. Or my parents changed their mind. They are rescinding. With insurance, everybody's policy is individual, which may be a little bit annoying in that you have 20 policies if you have 20 people going. But the good thing is you can custom pick which insurance you want for which person. If you think one person is solid going, well, then basic. If you think that the cancel any time is the absolute best way to go for like this person, because they may not go, then then cancel anytime. One thing I just thought about that that I'd almost forgotten is cancel anytime. One covered reason that it helps with is if the leader doesn't go, then you've got an out with cancel anytime. So if you get sick, then and there isn't another leader, then that would be a good reason to cancel. So I love Allianz. I use them. These are the 3 policies I sell. If the reimbursement isn't going through, if I did something wrong, I got a person. So you've got me and I've got a person. And I work very hard to get, if it's what you're supposed to get back, I work very hard to help get it back. And so does she. And I love her. She's amazing. Next step. We're going to move away from insurance unless somebody has an insurance question really fast. Nope. Okay.
Yeah, just real quick question.
Yes.
In terms of, in light of what we just heard from the agent, would we
Mhm.
recommend the classic? So, for example, if it was like, hey, there's, stuff happening in the Middle East, or, going through certain countries, would that essentially, could we use it as like, we don't want to go anymore because this country doesn't allow you to go, or it's no longer safe? Would that cover 100% or 80%?
Okay, so if it depends about why you're not going, if acts of war are not covered.
Okay.
So the host changing their mind about hosting you isn't a covered reason. Those things aren't covered. But, and it's not the host would change their mind, but that brings up a good point that I forgot to mention. What if something in the host something happens with the host and they have a family emergency, right? Then classic covers that. So I'm always all about it's all about your level of risk taking, right? If you're a risk taker, then basic is great. If you are not a risk taker, and I am not, classic is the best. Like, you look, if no other reason, you've changed your mind, you don't want to go. Now, what it does not do is I changed my mind about flying with Emirates. I want to fly with Lufthansa. No, that you're not going to get insurance for that. So luckily right now, everybody traveling anytime in March with Emirates can cancel for a full refund. But no, it doesn't. Like, that is one of the things that it doesn't do. Okay, did I answer the question, Jamil? Sorry.
Just another question, Tanya. So
Yes.
if something came up and, we had to rearrange flights,
Mhm.
things outside of us, our knowledge, is that covered in one of them? Like, if you're like, oh, we'll help you get out and rearrange things, or is it like now booking a new flight is going to cost an additional?
It depends upon the reason. So it depends. And I hate to say it that way, but what we would do is, and what I've done with a couple of my groups, well, at least one, they're in Kenya, they're safe, but they flew Emirates to get to Kenya. So it's not a safe trip back. So on Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember which day, we went in and we bought Ethiopian Airlines back, full price. I know it's expensive. It is. And we still don't, like, I just got to this week, yesterday, put in for a refund for them for their partial credit. I don't know how much they're getting back. Insurance doesn't cover that, to my knowledge. I'm going to call them probably next week. This week has just been jam-packed. The good thing about insurance, let's do what we need to do to keep safe, to keep our people safe. And there's no timeline on insurance. So you get back 2 weeks later, okay, Tanya, let's have a discussion. Can we, like, is this something that we can file a claim for? We'll file the claim. We'll call Allianz together. We'll talk with them. I'll, like, as much or as little as you want, like, we'll try. If they come back and say no, I can just ask my person, is it because this was filed incorrectly? Did I do it under the wrong heading? Should it have been trip interruption, or should it have been whatever? So sometimes that happens too.
So Tanya, let me give you a scenario. I'm going to the Silk Road, and we've booked and I'm going to go ahead and book the flight through Qatar Airways because it's in July.
Mhm.
Okay. We're going to book the flight through Qatar Airways, anticipating it to be ready. I'm going to also get the classic insurance.
Mhm.
And then we get closer to and realize it's not going to be really workable to go through there. And I change my mind. I don't want to go before we go. Do I get the 80% refund?
If you're canceling because you change your mind,
Right.
um,
Even though
you're-
the reason I changed
and
my
you're not
mind was
going.
there's war.
right, I understand, but
You don't have to give them the reason why you changed your mind. You just changed your mind.
you changed your mind.
Right.
So if
Okay.
you change your mind about going, parents change their mind about their kids going,
Right.
or whatever. If you're canceling, yes. What it won't do is if you cancel Qatar and book Lufthansa, you're not covered on Lufthansa. And I don't think we can go back and say, hey, Allianz, we have new tickets, but cover these when you just said you weren't going. They might
I see what
consider
you're saying.
that insurance fraud.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah. So what did that answer that in Jamil and Vanessa's? Okay. Anyone else? I'm sorry, Vanessa, did you have something? Oh, okay.
No, I just thank you for everything. That's all.
Okay. Oh, thanks. Okay. One more thing that I'm gonna kind of go over, especially with a couple of things that have happened, not just now, but sometimes flights just get canceled, even without any bombings. Let's have a disruption plan, a communication plan. Ed talked about that a little bit. One of the things I'm going to say is have a person that is your person in the US along with your travel agent, right? So Jamil goes, Vanessa is the person at home to contact with, and I am. One of the things that I've realized this week is Vanessa and I need each other's numbers. Not this week, but in the past, Vanessa and I need each other's numbers. So if there's things going on and I can't get a hold of the decision maker, the primary decision maker, I need another decision maker's phone number. And I have found ways to get it. I am resourceful. I will find them, but it makes life easier for me if I just have, hey, this is like while we're gone, this is our other person's phone number. Contact them with any questions and with decisions to be made. And something that I do that very rarely becomes an issue, but I put into place because it became an issue one time and it is now becoming an issue multiple times, is that whenever we're booking, so if you have like 12 people, sometimes it's easier to not do group rates and not do group roles and all of that. So you want to just go ahead and wait and buy individual tickets. Totally fine. We can do that. We'll buy like 9 and 3 or something. Or if you have 10 going, we'll buy 8 and 2. I always want to have 2 people at least with the same booking number. And the thing to think out, and the thing that I always have people doing is I want you to tell me who to be on the second flight, because we want somebody who isn't going to freak out if they're traveling separately from you or from whoever the leader is. Maybe somebody who has traveled a bunch, or if there are 2 interns that are leading it, whatever, we'll have 1 intern on one intern on the other. Just some people that you would trust to fly if they were not with y'all. So whenever we were having to buy Ethiopian Airlines, it said that there were only 9 tickets left on the flight that we chose. So we held our breath, bought those 9 tickets, and we still had 5 more to buy. Thank God they got on the same plane and it wasn't a big deal. But if we had had to route them separately, we would have needed we had an intern on each of those flights anyway, and that's something that I recommend, and that both of them have my phone number. Like whoever's got the booking number, the second booking number has my phone number, just in case things go sideways with them.
Yeah, and Tanya, I would say even if you're booking under one booking number, you got a team of 15 and you're booking and you leave, things could disrupt on your way home where you have to travel back separately. I always like to have a student that I knew I could be my fallback leader if we had to split the group up for travel purposes. And so letting them kind of know even beforehand and preparing them beforehand as a part of the team preparation, I think is helpful rather than tossing that in their lap in country when the crisis or the emergency or the cancellation occurs. And so I think it's good to have one or two people in that role on your team. And so, all right, Tanya will be right back. While she's gone, any questions? I can help some with Tanya's questions, but we'll wait for her. But any questions that you guys might have? Yeah, Vanessa.
We have I think we have like 2 students whose parents are like concerned. We have a trip going to East Africa and then going to East Asia. And is there any way to get like a letter from like you guys or someone just maybe a little bit more professional than just us saying like it's a level 2, there is safety, there's precautions, something that could help? It's not parents are like, no, they're just concerned. And right, we have familiarity, with like,
Yeah.
and so they're looking for like, how else do we know that you are taking safety precautions and that this is, so we're just wondering if there was any type of letter or something that we can give to parents to ease that we are taking precautions, that we are going through safety, that these types of trips are safe for their the family, and if we need to, we will take other measures that we need to if safety is ever jeopardized in this country.
So some type of official communication.
Yes. So we have a template that we used when we were at NC State that I can share with you that involved even some wording from the missionary, from our host, that helped alleviate some of those concerns, and we can provide something like that on a Chi Alpha letterhead. But let's work on it together on what that would look like, so that you can get the right wording from your host and then us, so we're on the same page. And then if they want to contact me to have conversations, I can do that. And so I've had to do that. Usually I try to push things to the directors because oftentimes parents, like just this week, I had a parent call AG headquarters and was giving it to the secretary at the operator at AG headquarters, who was like, I don't know what to do. And they just wrote it down and passed it on to me. And so I just got a written message. So I went ahead and called the campus director because the parent had not even talked to them yet. And so I contacted them, and so we got it sorted out that way. But sometimes they want to go beyond the local director, and if that's necessary in your case, I'm glad to try to talk with them and help you. But let's just make sure we're on the same page with those things. But I can help with that letter, Vanessa.
Thank you, Brian.
Sure. Any other questions?
Brian, are we seeing anything from universities, like issuing travel warnings themselves, like saying like, hey, we don't want students going into places, or is that something we need to check with each individual university?
I think that has happened before. There were some universities that said you cannot travel to a level 4 country or even level 3. So I guess you could. It's one of those things where if you, I guess, be cautious in your exploration that you don't trigger alarms. But it may be helpful to know if there are some of those of those policies that are in place. And so, yeah, that's always a good thing to do. But I'm not aware of any right now, and I don't, it would be too difficult to kind of know which groups or which campuses are having that sort of policy. So,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just have a quick question about what Tanya was talking about earlier. So yes, we basically already have our trip registered and stuff like that, but for future trips like to Latin America, would it be recommended, even if we're driving, to have a travel agent?
So there's not much that I would be able to put together if you're driving, unless you're like, I do have some friends that flew to California and then drove down to Mexico, helped with the mission with an orphanage there. So I can obviously help with those flights. As far as, are you flying someplace like near an airport where I could help get you out? Like, I don't mind being contingent or even getting you travel insurance. So with travel insurance, I usually take the cost of the trip of the airline and any other, like if I'm booking hotels or whatever, we'll cover all of those and use that for the price for the insurance. But if you're just driving down and renting and have all that, I can do a $500 minimum per person, which is their minimum. They'll cover whether you do it for 100 or 500, they'll cover up to 500. I can do a $500 policy for each person. So, and if you want to use me, I would love to be helpful in any way. It'll just depend upon the situation. So I would have no problem figuring out where you are, closest airport, book some flights out. In order to do that, I would of course need a credit card on file or whatever to do that. But yeah, I can help. It just depends upon the situation.
Yeah, the
Makes
travel,
sense.
the travel insurance typically will cost you your travel fees, lodging if you're booking like through Tanya and those kind of things, but it wouldn't cover like your per diems that you pay your worker or your host and those sort of things if they're not a part of a package.
Anything non-refundable that you want covered and that you can provide receipts for that you paid, you tell me, I'll cover it. Like, it does not, and whether it's refundable or not, like if it's a refundable thing to a certain point and you're not getting your money back and we've covered it and you can provide receipts, let's claim it. So it doesn't
Right.
have to be like, I just need receipts. I need proof that you paid and they're not paying you back. So
Right.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, let me answer a question that Nathan and Josh asked about needing to cancel trips and those things. Let me find Josh's question. Josh, can you ask your question because I can't find it right now on the.
Yeah, let me scroll up my question. So if we need to reconsider the location of our summer trip in May and June, basically who makes that call? Is it the hosts of our trip? Is it you, Brian? Is it AGWM? Like,
Yeah,
where do we go to get that information?
I mean, it would be up to you and your host. I mean, in circumstances where, I think if you were going to try to go to the border of Iran, we might make an executive call and say, no, you probably shouldn't do it, even if you're courageous enough to do it. It's going to be too dangerous to take students. If you want to do it yourself, that's fine, but to take students would be too risky. But by and large, the decision is up to the local director. Now, I think there's always wisdom in the counsel of many, and so bringing us into the conversation doesn't hurt. We can bring in Ed and I, area directors, and those kinds of things. Sometimes a lot of times the regional AGWM directors, even the area directors, like even right now, they're leaving it up to the people on the ground to determine whether they evacuate Iraq or whether they evacuate from Oman. The State Department is telling them to evacuate, but they're letting the boots on the ground to make that decision. That's why Ed said oftentimes your local hosts are the best assessors of the situation. So we typically don't say you can't travel, you can't go to a place if it is accessible. Does that help?
Yep, that's perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. I've had a number of trips in my past get disrupted by everything from Ebola to bombings to other things, and that's just the nature of leading students to the places we do. And anyway, I'll be glad to help with any of those decisions, and even finding good alternatives. I've already started talking to some other places around the world that might be willing to host our teams that are disrupted. And so, yeah, please reach out to us if we can help. All right. Any other questions for Tanya?
Last question. So, Tanya, we know we're already working together with trying to get some East Africa tickets in Southeast Asia. So we were just really determined to focus on the European or American airlines. Is that what? Yeah.
I mean, for right now, for like May, June, July, I will always, if Emirates or Qatar have better flight options, I'm going to give everyone that quote with the caveat that we don't know, may not fly. I love Emirates and Qatar Air. I love those airlines. I think they're amazing. So I'm sad to not be able to book them. So I'll give them, but if I were to be flying there, I would be probably going Lufthansa or, and that's just foreseeable. Who knows what can happen in Europe that'll disrupt Lufthansa's flights. So it's just kind of a roll the dice. Right now, it seems to be wiser to book through US or European
for sure
airlines.
Yeah.
So Tanya, I have a question for you. Let's say some of our friends here have already maybe booked some flights that have some risky itineraries or unpredictable itineraries moving forward, but they didn't use a travel agent is there any way you could help them? What could they do? What would you recommend? And they monitor if they are going to do things on their own. Any thoughts, ideas you could provide for them?
I'm a sucker for help. We're in crisis. Keep my cell phone number. Whoever you are, however you booked, I don't care. Call me night or day. So if you book directly with the airline, so you went on to Qatar's website and you booked directly through them, and I get given information, specific information that I could call and say, here's the information on the stuff. I have permission to make changes, then I would be able to help make changes and stuff. At the least, I can look up alternatives and say, here's some alternatives. I recommend this. Just give me a call. If you want to set it up as you want me to monitor it and proactively help things, let's talk. I hadn't thought about, before this morning, I hadn't thought about offering that as a service. Let's talk. Let me think about it. Maybe we'll talk on Monday about that kind of stuff, unless you leave on Monday. And let me think about what kind of thing I should do, because either way, insurance policies they stand. Like if you've already bought your tickets, they stand with the timeline that the insurance that Allianz put on. So 10 days for Classic with cancel anytime after you book your airline tickets, and then up to 3 days before for Journey or Basic. So, and if you get insurance, you automatically get me. It's just part of it. You book anything with me, you get me.
Great. Thanks so much, Tanya. I really appreciate you being available in that way. So we've gone over our hour. I just want to mention just a couple things in closing, and then let people go if they need to, and they can stay and ask questions. Again, like I said earlier, the U.S. mission, or not, I mean, the AGWM team process is changing. The steps are changing. So don't go to Mighty yet. We're hoping to make those changes on Mighty for registering your team today. One of the most significant changes is the security chain has changed, and it is free moving forward. And then April 1st, if you have, after April 1st, if you need reimbursement before any part of the process, if you need reimbursement for your trip, contact People in Health, and they will approve your reimbursement. You don't have to wait for U.S. Missions travel approval. We're doing away with the U.S. Missions travel approval form after April 1st. So if you're working through the process for a summer trip, I would just don't worry about that part of the equation. There will be some documentation that you'll need to send us after you've done your AGWM approval, but we're not going to have the U.S. Missions travel approval documentation before you can get reimbursement and those sort of things. And then last of all, we're going to be putting out a resource on Mighty regarding medical information and how to gather medical information, important things to have in case you have an emergency while you're out. We had a situation just this week where a team member was going to require some medical care, and there was there probably could have been some better preparation for that event. So just make sure you have your insurance, your AGWM insurance information with you on hand, but also just knowing things about the medical history of your team members, their emergency contact information, and those kinds of things. We're putting together a form that you can collect that information and have it all in one spreadsheet. And it'll also it'll flag things for you so that you're aware of, I have a team member that has asthma, or I have a team member that needs an EpiPen, making sure they have the EpiPen with them on the trip. Just some of those things that sometimes we don't think about in terms of medical issues and bringing our students. And so we're going to have that resource out to you. And I just want to encourage you, make sure you have your, you know what your emergency plan is, your medical plan is, and have some other people on the team who are aware of that, because you might be the medical emergency, right? And so have somebody else on the team that's aware of those processes also. So, all right, that concludes our time for today. Any questions?
Yeah,
Right.
Brian, I got one.
Okay.
When's kind of like the point of no return as far as like when we need to maybe think about going on a different trip or to a different location if we do have a trip in like May, June, or any time in the summer?
Right. That's a tricky question, Caleb. I think talking really closely with your host, and talk with me about it, and because it can kind of vary from place to place, and I can help you with maybe thinking through a timeline and some alternatives. I've had to make some changes on some trips 2 weeks before. I think a big part of it is you have to keep in mind airline prices are probably going to just continue to rise because of the crisis in the Middle East as far as fuel prices and those sort of things. And so the longer you delay, it could affect the cost of your trip. And so that needs to be factored in. Another important challenge, let's say things calm down 2 weeks before you're expected to travel. Does your host have capacity to really host a team after coming out of bunkering? Do you know what I mean? Are there other things that they need to be doing in their community and pastoring the aftermath of this? That and some of them may feel obligated to host you, if that makes sense, and don't want to disappoint you. And so I think letting our host have the freedom to know that, hey, it's okay if we don't come, and look for other places. Tanya, what would you say a window would be when prices really start escalating, in terms of distance from a trip?
Prices start escalating within a month of trips. And it's not always bad within a month. Within 2 weeks, it's getting a little bit tight. And within a week, it can be pretty expensive.
Yeah. I would
But
say,
sometimes, if everybody else is not going, you might get really good prices.
right. So feel free to reach out if you want to talk more about the specific context or some options you're thinking about, Caleb.
Can I add one more thing? Flexibility is very key whenever you're looking at changing up your flights. So one of the teams that had to change around Emirates, we changed what days they were going. So they booked completely different days. So, not like weeks, but like they are now, instead of leaving on Friday, they're leaving on Thursday and coming back on Friday instead of Saturday. So maybe some flexibility, a day or two, one way or the other. If you can give that to your travel agent, then that can sometimes help the price by hundreds of dollars per person.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Mackenzie asked the question, is there a list of no-go places as of now for trips? There's never, I guess could be some places that we have that are no-goes. Right now, there's just places that are can't-goes. You just can't get there because there's no flights in or out. So Middle East would be those places that you can't get in. So anything that's in the Arab Peninsula, Iraq, you can get in and out of Egypt right now. So Cairo's a good option for some Middle East alternatives, if to keep in mind. And so yeah. North Korea is a no-go. Iran's a no-go. It would be be a very challenging way to get in. So, cool. All right. Hey, let's close out in prayer. I'm going to ask Vanessa if you would pray for Vanessa Stell. If you would pray, and if you would, just pray for our teams, pray for wisdom and discernment, pray for God to bring peace to the Middle East, and for his church to thrive there. And that would be great.
God, we thank you for who we represent here in the room. We thank you for all of our students, God, who just are boldly coming before you, Father, to serve you and to serve your people. And so we just ask a blessing, God, any questions, concerns they would have, God, that your peace would come and be their answer first and foremost, God. Yes. And we thank you, Lord, for all of our workers across the world, God. Lord, those in the Middle East, God, we thank you for covering them, for protecting them, for giving them favor and providing so many solutions in a time of chaos, God. But Lord, that you reign in all of their hearts, God, and that you would provide such miraculous roads, God, to bring your truth to the world, God. And we just thank you for that, God. We thank you for all the different administrators that, God, that are going to help our short and long-term teams, God, launch out to where we need to go, God. And we thank you, God, that you always have a way, God. You always have a way for us. You always have a direction for us. And so, Lord, as we plan our steps, God, I pray that you direct us. You direct us to where we need to go, where we need to be, God. Where we, yes, need to be safe, God, but where we need to be bold, God, to
Mhm.
share you. We
Yes.
thank you. This would be a
Mhm.
time would rise up and be bold, God, that we would not shrink away, God, but that we would be bold for you.
Mhm.
Glory to
Yeah.
your truth, safety, and your intelligence. Give it to
Yes.
us. Amen.
Yes. Amen. Amen. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for discipling students to love the nations and serve the nations. We appreciate you.
Thank you.